Okay, let's start. Get started writing.
My childhood friend Carter moved away with his family to this really rural town in Michigan, but we've always stayed in touch. His family is very country, and I'd go as far as to say they're kind of rednecky. So the move
Rednecky? Well, let's see what I have to say about that.
there was no surprise. His family loves me, and I'm always welcome to go visit. We're 19 now. I'm in college. Carter works for his dad. They have a huge property up there. I had visited before. This was not my first time going up there. So it was a weekend in the fall. I was going to stay at Carter's family home up there. His mom and his sister wouldn't be there this weekend. It was just him and his dad. It's a 4.5-hour drive up there. It's a lot of farmland and open fields by them. To get
Well, that's the setting. That's the horror setting.
onto their property was a gravel road about 300 feet off the main road. I got there to a warm welcome by both Carter and his dad. They were already sitting in the backyard drinking beers, so after bringing my bag in from the car, I joined them. Carter was telling me about all the trails in the area that we could take my Toyota 4Runner off-roading. I'd never off-roaded before, but I was super down to. Carter's dad grilled us up some burgers first. Then he was off to his friend's house.
Nice.
Carter and I got in my car, and he guided me to this nearby trail that he described as perfect for off-roading. It was around 6 o'clock, so we only had a couple hours of light left. We did about an hour of off-roading on various trails not far from Carter's house. When it was starting to get a little darker out, we left the trails and got back on the road because it was even darker when you're in the middle of the woods. As we were just driving around, passing a bunch of farmland, we passed this abandoned church-looking building that had a huge cornfield next to it.
Well, stay away from it.
Carter said he passes this place all the time, but he never checked it out. So what do we do? Of
Intrusive thoughts.
course, we both agreed to go back and check it out later, but Carter said we should take the bikes over later. His family has a million mountain bikes, fully equipped with lights and everything. We drove back to his house. He grabbed a backpack and threw some tequila and a bottle of Sprite in it, along with some flashlights.
No water. I guess hydration's not important.
We took the two best bicycles they had. Each had night riding lights mounted on the handlebars. He said it would probably be a 20-minute bike ride. Both of us are big fitness guys and have been since high school, so I didn't even mind a long bike ride. When we got to the abandoned building, it was pretty dark out now, hence why we brought flashlights. The grass was very overgrown too. We made sure no cars were coming before entering the property just to be safe. We hid our bikes a little bit into the cornfield just so they wouldn't be seen. There was still just enough light outside to navigate without turning on the flashlights. We didn't want to make it.
The fact that you hid them, you had an idea that there might be other people around in the dark. So, I don't know. What do you think about that? That's a bit weird.
Too obvious we were here. We were thinking of getting some cool, artsy shots of each other for our Instagram inside the building, if we could find a way inside. The place was definitely an old church. The shape of the windows confirmed it. We went to look through one of the windows, and it was way too dark to see inside. I told Carter to hand me a flashlight. The flashlight made all the difference. We could see inside now. We both noticed something strange in the pews. It was what looked like a person's head hunched over sitting down with their back to us. Carter said it looked like a mannequin, especially considering it was completely motionless. We placed a friendly bet. Carter betting it was a mannequin and me betting it was some drunk homeless man. We went to the
Why would you test that? You have no weapons.
front door of the place and saw it was boarded up. Carter shook the door just for the hell of it to see if it would budge, but there was no shot. He implied this meant he won the bet because there was no way for a homeless person to get in there. I said, hold up, let's check the other windows for a closer view. So we walked along the other side of the church to the window we knew had the best angle of whatever we saw in there. But now, when I shined the flashlight through the glass, whatever was in that pew just a couple minutes ago was gone. I told Carter he owes me money because I was right, even though that was also terrifying. He asked, where did they go then? I shined the light in every direction until we both spotted it at the same exact time and jumped. The man standing right to the left of the window on the inside. He was looking at us. It didn't look like no homeless man to me, though. We took off running back to the cornfield. We tried to
About time.
find the bikes in a panic, but we couldn't. It was so dark out now that we were avoiding turning on our flashlights to expose ourselves. We heard a slam from the church building. It sounded like some kind of door. Carter told me to be quiet
Him coming after you.
because he heard sounds in the cornfield, like the crops being brushed through by someone. Then it just stopped and went silent. Dead silent. No breeze at all, so all the crops were just still. We were stationary, ducked down, scared to move. We were in this position for a solid minute before Carter said in a low voice, "Which way did we leave the bikes?" And this was when we heard the crops mere feet away from us being brushed aside as someone was clearly running towards us. I screamed "go" as we both beelined through the crops as some of them were smacking me in the face. At some point we cut out into the open, leaving the cornfield, running back to the road. We were no longer being chased. Carter called his dad right away,
Or so you think.
and he came and picked us up. He wasn't the kind of dad to get pissed at us for trespassing or drinking or anything like that. He was more so pissed about the bikes, but he said we were right to leave the bikes and run.
Well, that's weird. Hey, I'm not quite worried about your well-being as much as I am worried about my bikes. What?
The next day, he drove us back to that church, bringing his gun with him. We looked in the crops until we found the bikes. Then we threw them in the bed of Carter's dad's truck. We were about to leave when we took a look back at the church and saw someone at one of the windows. It had to be the same person. I guess when he saw us notice him, he creepily walked away from the window. Carter's dad said, "Let's get the hell out of here," because that was genuinely disturbing. For his dad to be creeped out meant a lot. He's a pretty tough guy. We went to some barbecue place afterwards and had a bunch of food and some drinks. Afterwards, Carter's dad called some town number to let them know someone was squatting in that abandoned building. As long as it was brought to their attention, at least we felt like we did something. Who knows if that man is still hiding in that church, though? Or who he was, for that matter.
Well, that's all, folks.